This dude had like a couple $100s in his bank account. Dude, you're capable of more. When you realize that you can overcome and you can do hard things, you can go and you can make $1 million.
Come on, dude.
So phase 1, realization. 2 is...
Many people have a good quarter, a good month, a good week. You've had a great year over year over year over year. You've been a top salesman for 3 years. How have you been able to have results that are sustainable?
I feel like I play a sport. Every day is a game day. Every month is like another season that I'm stepping into, and I just want to have a good season.
I've just seen over the years, man, these setters, they'll run through any wall for you. How have you been able to just instill such belief in your people where, dude, they'll do anything for you?
I know if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. I took that philosophy and I was able to create a team environment. I love those dudes like my brothers. They know that when they come into the trenches with me, they're going to get the very, very best experience they can in this industry.
Come on. Wow. There's people out there who maybe they haven't found that spark in themselves yet, and they're like looking for the spark. What would you say to that person?
To the people that are struggling, number one, understand.
Welcome to the VIP, the Valor Impact Podcast. My name is John Soriano. We believe that you can have it all, that you can be successful in all areas of your life, your faith, your family, your fitness, your finance, that you do not have to choose between one or the other. And as you listen in, take notes, take it all in, ask yourself, how can I apply this today? How can I go out there and execute today? Because we're going to teach you a wide range of things, from sales, from leadership, to finances, to mindset, to even how to have success in sales and in your marriage. And my only ask is that you like this video, you subscribe to it, you share it with somebody in the sales industry, and that you also ultimately go out there and execute on everything that you want. Welcome to the Valor Impact Podcast. Today we have Stetson Soffer joining us for this episode. Stetson Soffer, he is the regional manager of the Pacific region. Has been in door-to-door for over 4 years, has a remarkable story. My man has made multiple $1 million. He's been the top closer and all of legacy for the last 3 years, right? 3P, and actually top installer for all of 2024.
Come on.
And so, but also he's a builder of people, a builder of teams. He's went from setter, started from the bottom, now he's here.
Hey.
Anyways, went from setter to now regional manager, leads a amazing team. I mean, his people love them. And so, Stetson, welcome to the show, man.
Let's go. Valor Impact Podcast. Let's go, baby.
Come on, dude.
To be here.
Yes.
I know it was a mission to get me here.
I've been trying for 3 months.
The baby was just born, okay? So I was, you know what I mean, trying to do my best balancing act, but I'm here. I had to make an appearance.
Yeah.
Come on.
I believe the first time I asked you, Oakley had been born for like a week.
I think like the day Oakley was born, John was like, "Hey, dude, I need you on the podcast. I need you." I'm like, "Hey, dude, I'm a little busy right now."
Yeah. Well, dude, quickly share with us, man. What's it been like being a dad? Come on.
The best thing ever. Like I can't explain to you the feeling of like when you're holding your son, and you know this, right? And you can, it's weird that like you feel like you're looking at yourself almost. That's like the first thing I felt, is like I felt like I was holding an extension of myself. You literally are when you're holding your son. And that first moment, I'll never forget it. Quick tidbit, when he was born, he was quiet for the first 10 seconds.
Wow.
And we're all excited. I'm like about to tear up. There's a beautiful moment. And then some of the nurses are like, "Oh, he looks a little limp. He looks a little limp." And I look over and I'm like, this beautiful moment. My baby's right here. He looks a little limp. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, wait a minute. What's going on right here? Just for the like 5, 10, 15 seconds where that went on, this like panic, this like horror almost like crept in, and it kind of like took that beautiful moment away almost. But then finally you hear the, ah, and he lets out this little cry and then a big cry. And then it was just this huge sigh of relief. And I think like that was like, for me, as becoming a dad, in those first 10 seconds, it was like, this is real. This is as real as it gets. Like, it was that feeling of like, you are not as important as you thought you were, because that little baby, that little breath is the most important thing you've ever heard in your entire life. And that was the first 30 seconds of me being a dad. He lets out this big cry. Everyone, "Oh my God, there he is." And no one tells you this, but like babies kind of look like aliens when they first come out. Okay. So I looked at him, I was like, "Oh my God." But it was amazing. I do bath time with him he's 10 weeks old now. I do bath night with him every night. I change as many diapers as I can, holding him, no matter how tired you are in the middle of the night. But when you go to pick him up out of his crib and he's crying, it doesn't matter. You could have had 1 hour of sleep. When you pick him up, it's like you're all of a sudden fully awake. You're like, what does he need? What can I do to soothe my baby? And this is obviously, I'm doing the best I can as a dad. I think I'm doing amazing. It's even better having a wife who's a 10 out of 10 mom right off the bat. So shout out to Nadia. She is like just hit the ground running and is like a mom that can just knows exactly what he needs. Oh no, he needs to be burped. Oh no, he needs his diaper change. Whatever it is, she's got it down. So it's been beautiful.
I love that, man. Yeah. I mean, I think I wish people understood more. Like as I hear you talk, right? Some people might be like, okay, what does this have to do with sales? What does it have to do with leadership? And I'm like, it has everything to do with it. Like if people understood that if they can actually pursue these moments and get to experience it, it changes them and it actually levels them up in such a way that they'll just start getting different results. Like I told Dane this, and I remember I was like, hey, when I was single in solar, okay, I did pretty good. Mm-hmm. But then I became a husband. Then I did even better. Then I was a father of 1, became even better. And then I'm now a father of 2, even better. And I feel like with more responsibility actually that I've taken on, whether it's in the workplace or in the family or in the community, with more responsibility, I've actually leveled up. And I wish people understood that more, that like, hey, man, like I just see some people like, well, I'm gonna wait until I'm a certain age. Why? Yeah. Like just if it's like, anyways. But I love that, man. Congratulations,
God's timing, bro.
Congratulations on being a dad, dude. You've been a father to many in solar. Now you're actually a father.
Come on, let's go. No, it's crazy. You touched on being top sales rep, whatever, for 3 years in a row, and it is not easy. And I was feeling tired at one point. At the end of last year, I was feeling tired. And I will just say that since the birth of my son, I have an energy and newfound hunger to like go and dominate more than I've ever had. All my guys were like, yeah, Stetson, I thought you were going to like take some time off and whatever and this and that. And I was like, take some time off for work. Yeah. Is my hours going to be a little bit different now? I got to be home more, 100%, but I'm more hungry than ever. I like you're saying, now that I have a kid, I know it's time to level up even more. And it's not like this cliche thing of like, oh yeah, you have a kid, you got to provide for him. It's like something like internal. It's like something I can't even really explain, that I just know I got to be that much better now. And I love it. I feel like I'm on fire. I really, really do. So I can totally relate to that. Having a kid changes everything when it comes to perspective.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question. How have you been able to have results that are sustainable? I mean, you said something, you're like, man, you got tired, but then this happens and all of a sudden you're like, you say you pick up your son, all of a sudden you're like ready to go. Like, how have you been able to avoid burnout? Because I do believe people give more credit to burnout. I think burnout is people just have lost their passion or their why, but the moment you know why you're doing it, right? Like you say, you may be tired, but then your why is literally in your hands. All of a sudden you're like, dude, that feeling is gone, right? And so what are some practical ways that you've done it? Because the cool thing about you, for those of you that don't really know you, is you've had consistent results for years. Like many people have a good quarter, a good month, a good week. You've had a great year over year. You've been a top salesman for 3 years. I mean, you've made, I don't know, I'm gonna throw a number out there, 3 to 4 million-ish, right? In the 4 or 5 years you've been with Legacy. I mean, I think you've had $1 million years the last 2 or 3 years in a row. And then on top of all that, you're building teams, you're building people up. So like, I know kind of a loaded question, but how have you been able to have sustainability and not experience burnout?
Yeah. I would say that when you do experience burnout, it does happen. It's okay to just recognize it and kind of reset and kind of just be real with yourself, because those things can happen. I felt burnout a couple times in my career, but I truly gamify how I do this job. I've said this before. I know it's a sales job. I'm a salesman. I feel like I play a sport, and I feel like every day is game day, and I just like to compete, and I've been blessed that is just my internal mindset. That is something that I've had since I was a 5-year-old kid. I've also been blessed to work with a lot of great individuals that like when I'm burnt out, my setter, right, Jariah or Alan or Luis or JC or whoever it is, I can't be burnt out because that guy needs me right now. And so I sometimes, maybe to a fault, but I'll take on their pain, and I'm like, no, like, okay, I'm feeling tired right now, but this guy believes in me as his leader, so I got to show up for him. And so those days where I do maybe feel a little tired, a little burnt out, I look to those guys, and I'm like, dude, they put their trust in me, they put their faith in me to lead them. I have to show up. And so I've been very lucky and blessed to be surrounded by a lot of great individuals like yourself, like Malik, like so many great people that I've worked with in this job, where it's like maybe I am feeling tired or burnt out some days, I can lean on them. And then recognize when you're in a position of leadership, sometimes, right? Just like when it comes to me holding Oakley at night when I'm tired, it doesn't fucking matter that you're tired because this baby's crying and you got to stop that. Or your guys need you, so you can't be tired. That's the energy and the mindset that I try to keep each and every day.
Yeah, it reminds me of a philosophy I live by. It's like, hey, if you make life about you, life is very small.
Yep.
But if you make it about others, actually life enlarges, you know? And so I love that you live that. Now early on, you said like, hey, it's game day. You know what I mean? And one thing about you is you're very competitive, and you actually have a strong athletic background. How have you been able to use your athletic background to have success also in the sales space? Because I do think sales is a sport. Yeah. There's a scoreboard. Yep. Right? There's offense, there's defense, there's training, there's coaching. And so it is a sport. I think if more people saw like a sport and less of a burden or less of a thing I have to do, and more like, you're right, it's a sport. And I think they will have better results. So anyway, so how have you been able to translate your results that you got in your basketball background, football background into sales?
I would just say that like I look at like every month is like, or really every quarter, every month as like another season that I'm stepping into, and I just want to have good seasons. Like I just want to keep having a good season. I want to be able to stack those on top of each other. I grew up watching like NBA classic basketball games, NFL classics. Like that was, so I've always just kind of been enamored by, when it comes to the sports realm, of like guys just being great for a really long time. And so for me, right, I just kind of channel that energy of like, I don't want to just be good today and gone tomorrow. I want to, like, this may sound corny, but I want to sustain a legacy. Like I want to be remembered as the guy, sales rep of the year, all that stuff is all nice. I just want to be remembered as the guy that showed up and kept showing up. And that's it. And so when it comes to my sports backgrounds, being super competitive and creating a team environment, I've been on basketball teams where it's like, I don't even want to pass the ball to this guy, right? And those are the teams where like, you don't win many games, right? You lose, because that's no way to win a basketball game or a football game, not having teammates in sync and be able to mesh together. And so when it comes to this, I know if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And for me, I took that philosophy and I was able to create a team environment. So I look at my guys, I look at them like teammates, and like, hey, you do your job, I'll do my job, right? So if that's football, if I'm the quarterback, you got to run your route so I can throw you the pass, right? If we're running a basketball game, you got to set this screen, you got to do this, and I'll get you the ball over here. So then that way we can make the play that we want to make. And in this job, I just kind of channel it the same way. So yeah, I've always been enamored with the greats, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady's, those people. And like, I found this space, this sport of solar sales, and I want to be recognized as one of them. Yeah.
Let's go a little deeper in that, because also you have run very successful setter closer models. And I've just seen over the years, man, these setters, they adore you. They love you. They'll run through any wall for you. And that doesn't happen by accident. Right. Because I've also seen the opposite, where some guy will have a lot of setters, and after a few weeks, they're like, dude, screw that guy. I don't want to work with him anymore, you know? And so, you kind of like, I'm not a basketball pro by any means, but in basketball, you have to have someone that passes you the shot, right? And then you have that guy that takes the game-winning shot, right? Kobe was known for always taking the game-winning shot. So was Michael Jordan, right? And so, but he needs to rely also on his teammate to give him the shot and tee it up as best as possible so that he can have the most opportunity to make that shot. So how do you do that with your setter closer model? Like, how have you been able to just instill such belief in your people where, dude, they'll do anything for you? Like, tell us about that.
I would just say like the proof is in the pudding. So like when I bring a guy on, like I want to get him paid ASAP. I want to show him that he's going to work hard. I'm going to work harder or just as hard, right? Like I'm not going to ask you to do anything I'm not willing to do myself. I'm not going to ask you to go knock in 40-degree weather past 7 o'clock when the sun is down in a sketchy neighborhood if I'm not willing to do that. I'm not going to ask you to wake up at super early in the morning to drive to the hood if I'm not willing to do that. So that's number one. I think as I just adopt the mindset of I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself, and I want to get them paid as fast as possible. Those are always the two things that I have at the forefront when I'm taking someone on, or just any of my setters in general. And yeah, I'll never forget, one of the first blitzes I ran, however many years ago. This dude had just joined us, and he had been with us maybe a week. And he said, okay, he had knocked with me once, and he's like, okay, so what's the plan this week? And I said, I got an Airbnb. It was 3 hours away. We're going to go knock there for the rest of the week. This dude had like a couple $100s in his bank account. And he was like, super nervous. He's like, wait, what do you mean? Like, we're going to go knock? Like, where? And I was like, here's the address. We're going to go blitz this area. Like, trust me. I know what I'm doing. Just come. And sure enough, he came the next day. He ended up getting 3 deals that week. And he told me the following week with no money in his bank account, obviously the money was coming in from these deals, but he was like, bro, I'm not going to lie. I thought you were crazy. And like, I can't believe I just left my family to come and knock with you out in this random neighborhood. But that was one of those moments where I was like, dude, these guys are leaving their families, their lives back home to come and do these blitzes, to come and be on this journey with me. So they deserve my 110% every single time. And I don't just say that, I truly give it to them. And so I think my success with being able to build this setter closer model is I love those dudes like my teammates, like my brothers. And I think they feel that, and it's nothing ever fake. And if I don't think a guy's a good fit, I won't bring him on. So I would say that they know that when they come into the trenches with me, that like they're gonna get the very, very best experience they can in this industry.
What's like if someone wants to build a really great setter closer model, what are some, like, how do you structure it? Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Are you knocking with them?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know you're out there, like there's no denying you're out there, but how do you structure them getting, on the door mentorship with you? Like, do you have a structure that you follow, especially when if you have 5, 7? I mean, it varies. Sometimes you have 2, sometimes you have 5, right? Because you're also, for the record, Stetson is also really great at producing setters to be closers. So he doesn't keep them as setters. Right. But so how are you? Yeah. What's that structure look like for you?
Yeah, I would say for someone that's like just looking to build that setter closer, is like get one guy, get 1 or 2 guys. Dash Martinez, Johnny DeLegge. Those are my first 2 guys, right? Those guys are my brothers now. We've been working together for almost 4 or 5 years. But those are the first 2 guys I brought on. And my strategy was, hey, every single day we're going to go to the hood together. We're going to hop in my car. We're going to go to the hood together. You knock on one side of the street, you knock on the other. When they're newer, I'll knock this street with Johnny. I'll knock this street with Dash, right? And then as we pick up steam, okay, you knock this street, you knock this street. I'm going to go knock over here. Let's see who gets a lead first, right? And start to kind of that competitiveness from a playful standpoint, because we all want to see each other win. But that's what I would say. Get 1 guy, get 2 guys, because I've seen newer closers get 5 setters, 6 setters, right? Because they're great at recruiting, but it's too many. And they bit off way more than they can chew. And those 5, 6 guys end up going to another company or going to do something else. And so you don't need to start off with this big, huge team. Get 1 or 2 guys, show up every single day with them, knock with them, knock on the other side of the street of them, knock in the same vicinity, same neighborhood as them, and then just get that campfire effect. Whether it's in your car, go into the hood, and then when you're in the hood. Because my guys have told me this. This is taken from them, but they were like, dude, it's different knocking when I know that you're around the corner. There's something different. There's like an extra confidence that I know if I get this bill right now, we could same day this lady in 30 minutes versus, hey, let me set this appointment for the next day or the day after. And so when they told me that, I was like, damn, all right, if you guys really feel like that, I shouldn't have to always be here, right? But 100% understanding that if I am out there, it's just an extra fire that's in them. I never want to light a fire under them. I got that from you. I want to light a fire in my people. And yeah, just showing up and creating that campfire effect in the car on the way to the hood, and then in the hood being there with them.
Yeah. Now, how do you know when they're ready? Like, how have you determined like, okay, this person's been with me for a few weeks, a few months.
Yeah.
We've gotten 10 deals together, 15 deals, 20 deals, a few installs. They got some paychecks, right? Like, how do you determine that transition? Because I think, at least for me, it was always not hard, but definitely challenging to figure out, okay, when are they ready to be like, or when is the time to be like, okay, we've knocked a lot together.
Yeah.
It's time for you to not go on your own and like deal. Because, we also have to teach our people to like, hey, go, you don't need me all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And then so there's that. And then also the transition of like, okay, now you don't need me to close anymore. Now, how have you been able to instill that confidence?
Yeah.
And maybe we can break it down to two. How do you instill that confidence of like, okay, in the beginning, you knock with them because they need it, right? But then at some point, you got to kind of push them out, right? And be like, all right, now you're on your own. Come on, I believe in you. So that's one. And then same thing with closing. How do you instill that confidence that like, okay, come on, Johnny, come on, Dash, right? All these people you've mentored. Hey, cool. And then now, like, dude, Dash is one of the best dudes, or one of the best pull-throughs I've to this day, dude. Like anything that I do signs, installs, we have a joke where, Dash, I love you. He's always on Big Check Friday. And we're like,
where is he?
Where is he? But he's always on Big Check Friday. Anyway, so yes. How have you been able to do that and instill that belief in people?
So, I had a dog growing up, a Labrador. Her name was Cece. Okay, rest in peace, Cece. This is a long time ago, little kid, and I'll never forget when she was a puppy. We had a pool at the house I grew up in, and my dad. She was like, I don't know, this big, and my dad just walks her out to the pool and just chucks her and just throws her in the pool, and she instantly knew how to swim. And we were like all amazed. We're like, oh crap, like she knows how to swim. There we go. And we were playing in the pool with Cece. And so that same mindset on like, hey, listen, like if you really want to be able to make it work in this job, I felt this when I was a mentee, right? Shout out to Malik. He was my mentor. He's like, bro, if you really want to make it work, you got to be able to knock on your own, right? You got to be able to get thrown in the pool and figure out how to swim, right? And so with those guys, 1 to 2 days, 3 days max, right? But I let them know that at the end of the day, you should not even want me. Should you want my critiques, right? If I can help you on the doors, 100%. But after that second, third day, they should be ready to knock on their own. Yep. And that's not to say you can't knock with them after that, but they should be fully capable of knocking on their own after that third day.
Yeah, and it's like, cool, let them sink for a little bit, right?
Yep.
When you're on that, I love the analogy of how your dog learned how to swim.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's okay if you sink.
Yep.
It's okay if you struggle, right? But eventually you do it long enough.
Yep.
You're like, oh,
I got this.
I got this. Okay. Yeah. I know. Okay, I can tread now, right? I know how to tread, you know what I mean? And so, and often people think like if they're drowning in the beginning, oh, something's wrong. No, that's part of the process.
Oh, good.
Now, how do you do that then from setting to closing?
Closing, I would say the best way there is, dude, just sit in the first 1 or 2 closes with your guy that you're training up. Make sure they know, right? The software, the learning the platforms and all that kind of stuff is technical, but just making sure they know how to control the conversation. Make sure they have all their ducks in a row. Okay, you're getting them from sit to sign to install. Making sure they know that stuff. So I would sit in the first 1 to 3 closes that guy has, right? Close them together if you need to. But that's what I would do just to ensure, right? Because you can do a mock close with your mentor. It's never the same as actually being in the home with a customer, right? And so with all my guys, with Dash that we talked about, with all these guys, I always sit in at least a couple appointments with them, making sure that they're doing everything the right way when they go into closing to ensure that, okay, this guy's got it. He's good. He's ready to rock.
But you're not running the close. They are.
Yep.
You're kind of just there as the training wheels. Like in the event they hit a wall, they're like, oh, I don't know this. You're like, okay, let me show you. And then you.
With one of my recent closers, right? He went in to close one of his first deals just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we were in there together. We knocked the door together. And he was kind of steering it where it was kind of starting to go left. And I kind of stepped in and was like, no. Like, here we go. We need to go over this part, then this part. Ended up closing it. It's going to be installed. But yeah, so just the training wheels, right? The is it bumpers in bowling? Is that what it is? Yeah. The bumpers, right? Making sure everything's staying straight. So yeah, I'm just there for that. And yeah, I love it. My favorite thing is seeing a guy where you see when it clicks. Because I remember for me, for anyone watching this, my first 4 weeks in solar, I was about to quit. I was horrible. My pitch was bad. I was nervous on the doors. And it wasn't until that 5th, 6th week where it clicked for me. I remember getting my first appointment. It didn't close, but I remember setting it and just being so freaking excited. It felt like, back to the sports thing, felt like I'd scored a touchdown. It felt like I just hit a big shot. And I remember setting that appointment, and that was the first, like, okay, like the light bulb, maybe it hadn't fully gone off yet, but there was a flicker. And then, okay, I got my first deal. And my 6th week at Legacy, as a setter, I got 6 deals. Before that, I had 0. I was this close to quitting. It was my dad telling me, you haven't given it a full shot yet. Like you haven't even given this a full shot. Give it a full shot and then quit, right? Because the opportunity is real. Look at all this money these guys are making. And so I love when I see that in my setters, when I see the light bulb moment, like where they get it. And then that's when it's fun, where they can start to smell the blood and they can start to set really, really good appointments. And of course, take full advantage of this opportunity. And it's the same with closing. There's a different art to setting an appointment, to closing a deal, getting that deal to install.
Now, to go deeper on the setter closer model, because I love this topic, and as we were talking, I'm like, man, you're definitely one of the subject matter experts on this. Tell us about area, because I think there's this belief or whatever that some people think. Now, listen, some areas, yes, there's pros and cons to every area. The question I'm trying to ask here is, how do you find your area? Like, what do you look for? Now, you have blitzed in so many places across California, right? San Diego, of course, here locally, but you've gone to Temecula, Hemet, Palm Springs, Palmdale, Fresno, Bakersfield, and anyways, everywhere in between. Yeah. So knowing what you know now, what do you look for in an area? Is there something specific? Because again, although I believe there's fruit in every area, there is, right? But still, at least for you, what does Stetson Soffer look for in an area?
Good roofs and sun hours.
Okay.
Because good roofs and good sun hours lead to higher EPCs, right? So we can make more on these deals. But then also, we know the higher the sun hours, the better the roofs, the better solar fit these customers are to get solar. So my conviction level is higher when I'm in these neighborhoods where I know, dude, we put 12 panels up on this guy's roof, we're going to offset his bill, right? And he's not going to need MPU or whatever. So I look for neighborhoods where I know that solar is like a no-brainer for these people. That's the number one thing. And I think you can find those kind of hoods in a Bakersfield, in Fresno, in Temecula, in San Diego. It doesn't matter. You can find it everywhere. But that's what I personally look for. Good roofs, no shading, right? Lower to middle income areas are good. Middle to higher income areas are also good. You just got to change your pitch a little bit. But that's what I would say. I just look for good sun hours, good roofs, and I don't try to overcomplicate it. And with my guys, I pick an area and I try to stay there for an entire month before we move to another area. And then we just kind of rotate between 2 or 3 spots every single quarter.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, what about on the doors? What are some things you've done on the doors that have been maybe unique to you? I know Mike's brand's thing is getting inside the home, right? He's been great for being known to do that and showing people that, man, that's a big shift. Tell us on the doors, because when I look at your numbers, I feel like you only need to talk to a handful of people to get not even an appointment, but a sale. Yeah. So clearly you're doing something really, really well in the doors to connect with people. What is that for you?
So I try to teeter the line between being a figure of authority and also just being the neighborhood friendly solar guy. And just teeter that line. My voice, the way I look and everything can come off sometimes as authoritative just right off the bat. So, but I use it to my advantage to gain people's attention, right? In the first 4 seconds, you got to get those people's attention. But then also I remember to have my shoulders back to smile. So that number one of just that, I don't say anything special. It's just my demeanor. People that knock with me, I don't say anything that's super slick. Do I know all the information? Yeah, of course I do. I rarely have to use it all, right? On the doors to get a lead, to get a sale. It's just that balancing act of being a figure of authority, but being friendly, being personable, being approachable, right? That I think has led for a lot of my success. I essentially have the same pitch in California, in Nevada, in Illinois, in Connecticut. It's pretty much the same pitch no matter where I'm at. Sure, certain things change, but my biggest thing is just having conviction, being a figure of authority, but not being too overly authoritative to where it can kind of come off as off-putting or think that I'm being combative with anyone on the doors.
Right. So you said conviction. What does that mean to you? Because I'm a huge advocate of, I believe salesmanship is just conviction. If you have conviction in whatever you're promoting, whether it be solar, whether it be church, whether it be whatever, if you have conviction in it, you show up different. Yep. But how does one attain conviction in your opinion?
Yeah, I would say with with knowledge comes confidence. And so I think understanding, right, whatever utility, whatever city, whatever market you're selling in, understanding that, whether it's a different utility, right, whatever finance you're using, I think understanding what you're going out there and selling and promoting, and just having the utmost and the absolute confidence that there's no way I can hurt your situation. And if there is, hey, I'll tell you not to even do this. I think just knowing that is the biggest thing for a lot of sales reps. They got to be confident in the product that they're selling, and they have to have as much knowledge, right? I've been doing this for 5 years, you for almost 10 years now. They're not going to have as much knowledge. A new rep's not going to know what we know, right? But they should know enough to know exactly when they sign somebody up, when they get someone's electric bill, this is what they're in for. And there's no way it can hurt your situation.
It's funny. I feel like sometimes new people should go through a close as they're the customer.
Yes.
And then ask all the questions,
Yes.
like, as if though you're getting solar. Like,
Yes.
wait, hold on. So this is free? Wait, hold up. Wait, is there a lien on my house? Like, like asking that. And I feel like when people actually do that and they actually truly get closed and they're like, oh, I totally now understand what people go solar, it changes how they view it, and you said something about knowledge too. I remember when I was learning how to close, we didn't have a fraction of the resources that, your team has. And so, but I remember Legacy on Grid, they had these 5 videos. They were called the Power Play videos, and essentially like broke down like how to close. And each video was like 3, maybe 5 minutes max. They weren't anything crazy. And I remember as I was learning how to close, I watched every single video over and over and over and over and over and over. I think I watched every video like at least 10 times, right? And I mean, that's about 4 hours worth of content. I mean, watching multiple times. But I remember with every time I watched it, my conviction and like, I can do this went up. Because, and then the more, right, repetition is the mother of all learning. Mm-hmm. The more I learned it, or the more I saw it, all of a sudden, I can do this. Yeah. And eventually I did it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now I gotta do it again. Right. And so I think one of the best, I know, and I wish people understood that more, that, man, like, dude, like if you see one good sales video, like that, watch it again. Yeah. You'll get something new. Yeah. Sometimes people, I know, for you've experienced this, they come to Correlation and they're like, oh, it's pitch practice training. Oh, I'm good. Dude, you might hear something new that you missed last time. Yep. And that one thing could be the difference between you getting, 3 appointments today or 1. Yep. And so I love that you said that about conviction. I mean, like what have you noticed when you, like, newer people, they sometimes hit this wall where how do you get them past that conviction to where it's like, hey, you can do this? Yeah,
that's a great question. I would just say, I love giving examples. Like I signed up this customer the other day. Her average electric bill was $470 and cut their bill down to like $330, gave them 120% offset, 2 batteries, right? I'm making a very nice paycheck on that deal, but I'm providing so much value to this homeowner. And so to your question, there was a rep that left, right, that we just brought back in the office. I don't know if you saw him today, but so he was like, yeah, dude, I lost faith in solar. I didn't know if we were helping people. So I shared that example with him of like,
it's a real thing.
Yeah. I was like, look, dude, this is the customer's bill. This is what I signed them up for. This is how much money I'm making. This is how much money she's saving. Right. And so I think, because a lot of times we get that analysis paralysis for our reps sometimes when they're just, they have so much information and they kind of just get bogged down with all the little things that can come up in solar, but you just got to get it back to the basics, the simple parts that like, hey, this customer's got a good roof and they got good sun hours and X, Y, and Z. There's no way this can hurt their situation. And I think when you show that to them and you explain it to them, that's what I love. I love telling my setters on like, dude, we just gave this person like such a good deal. I'm someone, I would rather make less on a deal knowing I'm giving this person a good deal than try to sell it higher or try to maybe, like, I'm not going to bend over backwards to sell a grandma who's freaking 80 years old who doesn't necessarily need solar. I'd rather go sell the family that needs solar, that needs to cut down their electric bill and make money that way, do it the right way. That's where my conviction comes from knowing I'm helping these people. And I always try to translate that and use that to show our reps, especially if they're a little wary on the opportunity, that like, dude, there's no way we can hurt these people's situations.
Yeah, it's awesome. So shift gears, dude, tell us about what's in store for Stetson Soffer, what's in store for Vista. I mean, you've had many accolades, right? Yeah. Top salesman of the year 3 years in a row. Yeah. Your office, won also top installing office many years in a row. And so like, what's next for you? Like what are some of your goals this year? Like, what do you want to create? What do you want to be known for? Yeah. Like, just tell us.
Yeah. So you know me with the phases, right?
Yeah.
And the phases
that
on
phase 18
we're
now.
on phase
I don't know.
a million, I think. I actually reset it.
Okay.
I reset it. When Oakley was born, I was like, you know what?
Well, tell the audience about your phases. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So it originally started, it was almost just like a mindset playbook for anyone that is stepping into this space. And I really only share this with my guys and with you when I'm on this podcast. But I share with my guys that originally it started of like phase one being realizing, dude, you're capable of more. You're capable of taking on this opportunity and like radically transforming your life. You realize that. 2 is stabilization, figuring out how to actually just do that consistently. And if you go back and you look at my career, you'll see these phases that I'm talking about kind of start to make sense. Phase 3 was the uphill battle. When you realize that you can be great and then you start to be great, there's a lot of bullshit that comes with it. And there's a lot of things, there's a lot of hurdles, there's a lot of obstacles you're going to have to overcome. And when you do, and when you realize that you can overcome and you can do hard things, right? Shout out to do hard things. That's when you see what I would call phase 4 is the triumphant spectacle. That's when you truly have like arrived and you are way more capable of what you even thought you were back in phase 1. And you can go and you can make $1 million. Or if you've never made $100,000, you can go and make $100,000. So for my guys, I always kind of introduce them to that and I can go deeper on it, but we'd be here for like 4 hours. But it's really, that's the outline of it for a rep coming in. And I love sharing that with them. Right now, though, the reason I went all the way up to like phase 15, I reset it when Oakley was born because I was like, yo, this is a new era. This is a new season.
Your realization is new now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I brought it back and I wanted to make it about the team and what's Vista's goals. And I was like, dude, I'm the sales guy. I'm the guy that can do the rah-rah speeches. I'm the one that can give the training and all these things. So I got to be the spark for my people. And they got to be the spark for their people and for their teammates. And so phase 1 of this year and for Vista, I called it Spark and just being be the one that gets the spark going for your team. Go and have that lunch with a guy that maybe you haven't connected with, right? Go and knock with the people you've never knocked with. Stay an extra hour after correlation and give a training to a guy that's maybe struggling. Get on a voice recording and send a voice recording to your team. Just a 1 minute, 2 minutes, something, anything you can to create a little bit of spark, a little bit of momentum. And then once you have that momentum, phase 2 is setting the tempo and then just getting it on repeat. This is what we do every single week, right? When you're down, I'll lift you up. When I'm down, you lift me up. And I think if you can just bounce back and forth between those two, you're going to see the snowball effect, the ripple effect of everyone kind of being on fire. Because, dude, I can only give you so many rah-rah speeches before I'm like, dude, I'm done giving you rah-rah speeches. You're not here with me. Okay, go be somewhere else. But if you're here with me, you should give me a rah-rah speech sometimes, right? You should be the one firing me up sometimes, creating the spark. And so that's where I want to see. That's the ideology that I have instilled in our team so far this year. The solar game is forever changing, and it's exciting to see where we're going. I feel like we're back in the good old days, and it's super exciting right now. And so I truly see Vista reclaiming the throne by the end of this year. Like, that's really what I see. I think we have the talent. I think we have the leadership. I think we have the energy to go and do it. So that's what I see. I want to take back the throne. And I think we're in well positioned to do it.
Yeah, I love what you said, spark, because whether you realize, I mean, I'm sure you realize it, but you were Vista was the spark for why
Valor.
San Diego, Valor,
Yep.
and also why San Diego now is on the throne, right? Right now, currently, as of recording of this podcast, the San Diego office has been the top producing office, and you guys aren't too far behind them, but you were the spark for them. Yep. Right. And then now in some ways they became the spark for you. And I love that concept because as I picture in my mind, I'm like, dude, to start a big fire, all it takes is a small spark. Yep. And I'm even reminded of just 2 quick stories. Like, one, I remember Robert Grant, one of the closers in San Diego. I remember he came to me a year ago, he was just down. He was ready to quit. Yeah. And I just said, hey, just commit one thing to me. I gave him these My Mastery cards and I just said, hey, just, read this 3 times a day, just commit to it for 30 days. Like, that's it. Just something a little small. Yeah. Dude, you fast forward today and he'll credit a lot of his results to just that moment. To where he's like, and he had his first $100,000 month, I think a few months after that, or not even, like it was like 2 or 3 months after that. Yeah. And so the power of just one conversation. I remember I met with him out there in the parking lot for 20 minutes, but that one conversation, like you said, lit a spark, or another story I remember is when Malik was first starting out and, he was like, oh, I don't know, I think it was like $2,000 or something. Like his mentor just was like, nah, I'm not going to pay you. It was something like that. Yeah. And I was like, dude, here, I'll just pay you. Yeah. Like, I'll just pay you for my own money. Yeah. And I didn't know Malik would become who he is today, but I'm sure that at least allowed him to stay in it longer. I don't know. Yeah. Life could have played differently. If he wasn't paid that $2,000, maybe that would have been the difference between him being like, dude, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. But that $2,000 maybe got him through a few more weeks, and that's all he needed to start getting that breakthrough. So I love that. I never thought about it like that, about just a spark. One spark can start a big fire, in somebody.
No, I love it. In whatever sales journey you're on, there's so many moments that, like, if you're fully locked in, if you're fully engaged, you can take advantage of that moment. Mike talked about this today of like, it just takes one that can create that spark and that ripple effect. And like, I just try to, like, this entire year, I'm trying to carry that. I'm a guy, you know me, I'm fired up, right? I can be chill, but I'm fired up most of the time. And I'm just looking to create that spark in my people and on my journey, every single opportunity that I get.
So as we kind of wrap up, I want to ask you one last question that is in alignment with what we just talked about. There's people out there who maybe they haven't found that spark in themselves yet. Yeah. But they want it. Maybe they're new at this job, or they're somewhere in sales and they're like, I'm looking for this spark. What would you say to that person that is looking for that spark? Like, how can they find that spark for themselves? Yeah. So that ultimately, eventually, they can then be that spark for other people. And not that you have to have the spark to be the spark to other people, but just for that person that's just looking, like, because clearly, like, this is just who you don't wake up every day and force yourself to be who you are. This is just who you are now. Yep. You're just like, this is who I am. You wake up fired up, But some people maybe not as much. Like, what would you say to that person that, man, they want to start gaining that momentum and they just maybe can't seem to get that spark?
Can't catch it. And that's the one thing in this job. It is tough, and you see talented people. I think one thing, not to go off on a side note, but like, one thing that keeps me so humble and so driven while doing this job with any amount of success I've had is I've seen talented people, probably more talented than me, come in and not make it happen. Right. And so because I've seen that, it kind of like always lights a fire in me. But what I would say, that was just a quick side note, but what I would say to the people that are struggling or if we're looking for that spark is, number one, understand that, like, no one is coming to save you. That victim mindset, that victim mentality, it plagued me all throughout my teenage years and all throughout my early 20s. Seriously, it did. I always was like, oh, it's so-and-so's fault. Oh, it's the coach's fault. They don't like me or whatever. Instead of just fully owning that, taking complete ownership. So you have to do that. You have to take complete ownership of where you're at. That's number one. And then number two, reach out to somebody. Reach out to somebody. The world of sales is so beautiful as long as you're in with the right team, in the right office, whatever it is, because there's so many like-minded individuals, like a John Soriano, like a Mike Brand, a Jake Ransom, a Malik Dayani. There's people around you when you're showing up, especially people within Valor. Reach out to one person. Reach out to one person. Like I said earlier, when you don't have that spark, look to get it from someone. And I promise it's going to bounce off them to you, and then it's going to bounce off you to somebody else. And understand that. So don't be afraid to humble yourself and reach out to somebody. That's one. And then two, understand, even with that, no one is coming to save you. You want to make it happen, you got to keep showing up, and you have to make it happen.
Come on. Wow. Dude, fire.
Come on.
So Stetson, if people want to learn more about you, get to know you more, how can they reach you?
Yeah, you can call or FaceTime me. No, I'm just kidding. No, definitely don't do that unless you're John.
You start getting FaceTimes like 1 a.m.
Yeah. No, it's creepy. I would say you can hit me up on Instagram at Stetson Soffer. That's pretty much it. Maybe one day I'll have a YouTube. Maybe one day. Okay, we'll see. But yeah, just IG.
You started making content. What happened, dude?
It's locked in the vault, and maybe we'll bring it out. I wish, my one regret is I didn't have a camera rolling these last 5 years throughout all the craziness that you know as
but don't have that same regret in the next 5 years.
Exactly. I need to get a camera, guys. So, but no, Stetson Soffer at on IG. That's it. If you're in sales, if you're in solar sales, and you're not part of the Valor division, you're not part of Legacy, you are doing a disservice to yourself. Come and check us out. Hit me up. Hit John up. Come take advantage of the solar opportunity. Let's go, baby.
Come on. Thank you, Stetson, for tuning in. We'll catch you guys at the next episode.
Come on. Let's go.